drive and talk here. I'm on Highway 33, headed west towards Sneedville, Tennessee. So, which it looks like I've just arrived there, but I'm going to keep on rolling through Sneedville up to Highway 25, which will take me up through right at the corner of Virginia and Kentucky. So that's kind of where I'm headed, because I've been hearing just, from playing the banjo and looking at the maps and the areas around Tennessee and Kentucky and Virginia. There's always Cumberland Mountains and Cumberland Gap and Cumberland Plateau, and there's a lot of Cumberland. So I know Cumberland has some significance, and I could go on the internet and just look it up, and you can do everything from your couch if you want to and learn about it. So, but rather than do that, learn anything off of the internet about it or whatever, I'm just going to go there to Cumberland Gap, which I think must have some geological significance during the Civil War for movement of troops, or maybe that was an area that needed to be held or fought for by either side. Or anyway, I shall learn what the significance of Cumberland Gap is. There's actually a national historical park there. So that's where I am headed. So a lot of these trips I do are just very random. This is a very free style of travel that I'm doing. So I just basically come up with things or want to do something, and I will go there. And so there's nothing really in my way. As long as I keep my fuel costs within reason. So but anyway, so that's kind of what I'm doing right now, and this will kind of unfold as we get closer, and I'll just keep taking footage. But last night I stayed at a Walmart, Rogersville, Tennessee, and that was a nice little Walmart, cool area. They had good gas prices, $3.29 per gallon, not too shabby. And then there were a couple kittens playing around where I was parked at, so that was entertaining. And they were kind of wild, so they didn't come near me, but one actually did sleep, I think, crawled up under my truck at one point, because it started raining, pretty heavy downpour. So I heard him clamoring around under my truck, and I think one was sleeping. And then when I drove over to get gas this morning and parked, it ran out from under my truck and back into the woods. So anyway, that was pretty comical. But anyway, I hope the little kitties get some food and do okay. Usually people, I've noticed them around Walmarts. There seems to be cats here and there around some Walmarts, and it's funny because many people will feed them. So the cats are getting lots of food. So one person will feed them and think that they're the one taking care of them, and then later, and somebody else will come and give them food, and then another person. So all these people don't know that there's multiple people feeding the cats. So a lot of times they're well cared for. So anyway, that was probably more than you need to know about stray cats at Walmart's. But anyway, so this is Sneedville that I'm driving through. You can probably see out the window a little bit. Just a little lazy town here. But anyway, it looks like we're slowly rolling out of Sneedville here, and we're going. Looks like we're gonna end up back in the woods here in a second. So that was Sneedville. Yeah, that's it. So we are gonna go through the mountains again to the next little town. So this is the Cumberland Gap Mountains, and we're going from Tennessee through this tunnel, and I think we come out on the Kentucky side. So this is like the modern day Cumberland Gap. Beautiful. There we go. So I'm headed to Millsboro, Kentucky, and there's a Walmart there. Hang out overnight, and then tomorrow I'm gonna do a little hiking on the actual Cumberland Gap trail and the lookout and all that. So check it out. Should be pretty cool. So this is the Cumberland Gap entry trail. Goes up to the pinnacle of the gap, and it's kind of cool. They have these nice little iron figures, sculptures, kind of depicting some of the things that were going on. So there's a lot of history with the Cumberland Gap, for buffalo crossing the mountains to Indians, frontiersmen. It's Sunday afternoon, so it's pretty quiet here. Alrighty, so I'm driving up to the Pinnacle outlook of the Cumberland Gap, and there was a little stop along the way because there's a lot of history associated with the gap. So here's some Civil War history. So as I suspected during the war, this was an obvious strategic location. So apparently it went back and forth as to who controlled the gap. And here's kind of a little bit of a sun glare, but hopefully you can see kind of where we're at in relation to the mountains. So we're gonna go up to the top of this, which is the Civil War. Yeah. So this is earthworks, Civil War earthworks. So I'm not sure what that is, but we'll go check it out.
Make everybody dizzy. Yeah, got some trees. There's a nice view through there. Cool cannon. Cannons up here. That's cool. Nice. Okay, onward. Okay, there's the road that I'm headed up, and another little stop here. So here's the history of this. This was actually a sizable fort area right here. And there's some a depiction of it based on actual drawings of the time. So we're standing right here. This is a big earthen mound. And here's what it says about it. Some writings from some of the soldiers or people here at the time. So, okay, we'll keep headed up. We're almost to the Pinnacle outlook. Okay, we're going up to Fort Lyon. So these are some of the remaining earthen enforcements of the fort. And it's not actually a fort, it was just kind of a fortress building. Different like trenches and whatnot. So behind me it's extremely steep, so that was safe. So they built these earthen mounds to protect this side. Very nice. Okay, so coming back from the fort, it was only like 100 yards up the hill from here, that Kentucky-Virginia state line, and South Fort Lyon. Now we're going to the overlook, which should put this all in perspective. All right, so here's the Pinnacle outlook. A little more history here. So some of these little informational boards, you probably just have to pause and then read, which you can easily do on YouTube. So here's the outlook. It's pretty spectacular. Look at that. Look at some trees covering up the gap, but that's Middlesboro down there. And earlier when I was driving in, I called it Millsboro, but it's Middlesboro. We'll zoom out here. Get a pan. I got this tree in the way. But that's the old town of Cumberland down there. I actually drove around down in there. That's in Tennessee, I believe. And then this goes into Kentucky on this side. And so that's the Cumberland mountain range there. And you can see that's Highway 25 that goes through the mountain, that tunnel that I showed. And then you come out on the other side over in Kentucky. And so the gap is actually down right below there through here. You can see that dark area. So that was a little narrow gap through the mountains that people could easily travel through in Buffalo. So it's very ancient, thousands of years of traffic through there. It's probably helped erode it. So it's quite the view from up here. So this is Cumberland Gap. Tons of history here. So, okay. Another Alexander Adventures on from up here. So, there you go. Alexander Adventures on. There we go. Appalachia. Fantastic.